Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're trying to cut through some of the noise in the crypto world. It's always moving, always dynamic.
Absolutely. Lots happening.
Yeah, so we're looking at, is crypto finally making that jump from niche tech to something more mainstream, more utility focused?
Yeah.
Or is it, well, still mostly about the ups and downs?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Right. So our mission here is really to pull out the key bits of info from all sorts of places, market moves, regulations, even like real world uses.
Exactly. And understanding how these pieces, fit together, that's crucial for getting a handle on where digital assets are now and where they might be heading. We'll try to give you a clear overview.
Okay, great. So let's start with market momentum. Bitcoin's had a really strong run. We saw a huge ETF inflows, something like $2.2 billion just last week.
Wow, that's significant.
Yeah. And it's the third week in a row with games like that. Now, there was a bit of a dip recently, but investor optimism still seems pretty high. People are watching that $106,000 level.
Right. And that sustained institutional interest, that $2.2 billion, it's not just a number. It signals something bigger.
Like what specifically?
Well, it suggests a growing acceptance of Bitcoin as, a legitimate asset class. We're seeing serious long-term capital coming in, maybe looking for a store of value.
So it's maturing, less speculative, maybe.
Potentially. That kind of consistent flow, it does point towards maybe a less volatile future, more predictable perhaps. It shows the asset class is definitely evolving.
Interesting. Okay. While we're on market movers, it's not just demand, right? Supply plays a huge role too.
Always does.
And SUI, which is a top layer one blockchain, think like Ethereum or Solana, a base network.
Right. Foundational.
Exactly. They just had a big token unlock.
The unlocks. Always something to watch.
Yeah. So this means tokens that were like restricted before, they're now free to trade. For SUI, it was 5.22 billion tokens.
That's a lot. What's the value?
Over $154 million. Represents about 1.63% of their total supply. And not surprisingly, it caused some wobbles in the price.
Makes sense. These unlocks are really important for traders, for investors. You suddenly get this big potential increase in supply hitting the market.
So it can push prices down.
It can, yeah. But it's also about how it's managed. Is there enough genuine demand, enough growth in the SUI ecosystem itself to absorb those new tokens? Or are early folks just, cashing out?
So it tests confidence in the project.
Exactly. It tests the long-term utility and investor belief beyond just the initial hype.
Okay, got it. Now, shifting gears a bit, none of this happens in a vacuum, right? Regulation is huge.
Always looming large, yes.
And it looks like things might be heating up in Washington. The U.S. House has Crypto Week starting July 14th.
Right, I saw that. Some key bills are up for discussion.
Yeah, like the Clarity Act and the Genius Act. What's the deal with those?
Clarity, for instance, is trying to finally define things. Which crypto assets are securities? Which are commodities? It's a gray area that's caused a lot of uncertainty.
Definitely needed. And Genius.
That one focuses specifically on stablecoins, trying to create a clear rule book for them, which is massive considering how big they've become.
How big are we talking?
Forecasts are honestly all over the place. Some say the stablecoin market could be $500 billion. Others see it reaching like $4 trillion by 2028.
Wow. So how these bills turn out?
Could have huge implications for that growth, yeah. Foster it or potentially stifle it.
And speaking of regulation, there was another quick but important update, wasn't there, with the SEC and Binance?
Oh, right. Yes, the SEC actually dropped its lawsuit against Binance.
That sounds like a big deal.
It is, certainly for Binance, but it might also, signal a slightly less adversarial approach from regulators overall. Maybe. It's something to watch.
Okay. So market momentum, supply dynamics, regulation. Let's look at something really different now.
Yeah.
Real-world application.
Mm-hmm. Where the rubber meets the road.
Exactly. The Open Network, or TON, has launched this interesting program, a pathway to get UAE residency.
Through crypto. How does that work?
You have to stake $100,000 worth of Toncoin, their native token, and then there's a $35,000 fee on top.
That's fascinating. Tying residency to crypto staking.
Yeah. What does this signify, really?
Well, it's a clear example of crypto moving beyond just, speculation or DeFi. It's being used as a tool for something tangible, like residency, integrating with traditional systems.
So bridging the digital and physical.
Precisely. It highlights this trend towards broader utility, global adoption in new ways. Could we see more countries do things like this to attract investment or talent? Maybe.
Are there risks, though? linking residency to a crypto asset.
Oh, absolutely. Toncoin is still a volatile asset, like any crypto. So tying something as fundamental as residency status to its price or to future regulations around it, that carries significant risk for the individual involved. It's definitely not straightforward.
Right, definitely something to consider. Okay, so we've covered quite a bit today. Bitcoin's run, these token unlocks, the regulatory landscape heating up in the U.S., and this pretty unique TON residency program.
Yeah, a lot of different threads.
It really paints a picture of, well, a digital landscape that's evolving incredibly fast, touching finance, regulation, and even things like citizenship.
It really does. And as you think about all this, consider that ongoing dance, right? Between market forces, the push for regulatory clarity, and this growing search for real practical utility.
So, final thought for everyone listening.
Oh, yeah. What aspect of this whole evolving ecosystem do you think will ultimately have the biggest impact? Where do you see digital assets making their mark most significantly in the long run? Something to chew on.